Hiya, my name's Gary Fry. I work at Leeds University. More recently, I got a new post at the university and took over the office of the person who had the same post before I had. And I had to use his PC because of budget cuts, etc. We all have to share IT equipment. Um, I was saving various documents on the computer and came across a file that had not been scrubbed. The university take data security quite seriously and tend to erase all the files from previous users of the computers. But this one was a file that had obviously been left on there from a previous user. And it was file name, it was three surnames, and I assumed it was some kind of academic article that had not been processed, and hoped to return it to the person who had the office before me, a guy called Matthew Cole, Dr. Matthew Cole. And well, curiosity made me open the file, and what I found in there wasn't what I'd expected. It wasn't an academic article at all. It was more like a kind of extended diary entry, an account of recent history in the life of Dr. Matthew Cole. And I did a few more inquiries with the university and realised that Matthew Cole had supervised a student called Chloe Linton, who had been an undergraduate at the university in a third year. And at the time when Matthew Cole left the university, she abandoned her degree in the final year. And of course, I was curious about what might have happened between them both, to make this occur. And discovered in this account a full history of it. And it's not a history which is entirely, shall we say, palatable. So anyway, I did a bit more research, tried to get in touch with Dr. Linton. All my colleagues said he was a very nice, friendly chap and was missed after leaving the university, but I had no success. He kind of has become something of a recluse, I believe. I also tried to get in touch with Chloe Linton, but similar problems there. Mother never returned the call. She was living with her mother at the time in a local village called Pastern. So I came up with kind of dead end. So all I have is the manuscript. But I did do a bit of research around the contents of the manuscript, which relates to local legend or mythical legend, whichever you might call it. It's somebody called Donald Deer, and I'd just like to share with you a few of the things I managed to discover after reading the account and looking into this supposed local legend called Donald Deer. So here's a few things I found. So the first thing I found after accessing a few local resources was this newspaper article. It's an issue of the Leeds Gazette, published in November 2015, and its title is Local Legend Revived. And I'm just going to read it out to you, just to see what you think. He may have been dead for hundreds of years, but that hasn't stopped residents of local village Pastern from talking about Donald Deer, an evil man rumoured to have used potions to seduce young women with a view to fathering their children. The legend, unknown outside textbooks, focuses on woodland near Pastern, where Deer was said to operate. Some believe his spirit can be seen in quiet lanes alongside the wood, while others claim he still dwells among the trees and refuse to venture there, especially at night. So here we have the stuff about Colin Linton. Local student Chloe Linton is currently exploring the myth of Donald Deer in the final year of her degree. Her tutor, Dr. Matthew Cole, said, "These kinds of legends, recorded by word of mouth, are good for spooking communities, but as rational scientists, it's our task to get to the bottom of them." The study is underway, and the Gazette looks forward to presenting more information very soon, provided, of course, that Miss Linton and Dr. Cole survive the clutches of wicked Donald Deer. So, obviously, at this stage, I'm quite sceptical about this. It sounds like one of those local legends that get captured in small communities, and but it does sound like a worthy subject for a dissertation thing. Exploring the psychology of this, the legend and how it appeals and the function it serves in the community. And I could see how it could lead to a good project. But obviously, being rational 21st century folk, we regard all these things with a pinch of salt. But in the spirit of objective inquiry, I suppose, I looked a little further into this, did a bit more Google searching, nothing too complex, and the next thing I came upon was this picture. I'll show you this now. So this was a picture I found online after a brief Google search, and it actually was on the website of a local photographer who specialised in exhibitions concerning community art, graffiti, those kind of things. And this wasn't actually part of his official portfolio, but it put it up on his website as a kind of example of the interesting things that occur in things. And it taken this picture in a suburb of Leeds towards the village of Pastern, where this legend was supposed to arise. And the message really is Donald Deer is real, not ambiguous, but it's actually, if you look back at the legend, and I'll talk about that in a moment, that Donald Deer goes about 400, 500 years, yet here we have a message on a modern wall, modern paint, suggesting that Donald Deer is real. So I think the implications are obvious enough, and it certainly piqued my interest and curiosity to look into this thing further, and indeed that's what I did. Okay, so here's some more stuff. I next looked at more official sources, not just kind of rubbish that gets on the internet, and found a textbook of myths and legends. Not a mainstream one that was easily found, but I found it through the university, kind of more rare. So here's a document just about the thing, and I'm just going to read out what it says about this legend of Donald Deer. So it says here, incidentally, I had to handwrite this account because it's one of those books that was quite rare and couldn't be taken out at the university. So this is my handwritten account. So I'm just going to read it out to you so you can read it along with me. So it goes, in the small West Yorkshire village of Pastern, just miles north of Leeds, a man named Donald Deer once resided in local woodland, along with a number of entities reputed to be his children. Donald was allegedly a black magician in the 1500s, whose spells and potions were supposed to possess amorous qualities. Indeed, even unrequited love could be overcome by offering one of Donald's herbal drinks to the person you lusted after. Donald had a reputation for being something rather less than human. People who'd met him had invariably done so in the Pastern woods, and it was said that he closely resembled the trees which surrounded him. But all this could change according to his surroundings, including the company he kept. In short, a consensus suggests that he, whatever he was, functioned as a mirror of sorts, reflecting both his environment as well as the desires of those with whom he frequented, especially after they had consumed one of his specially brewed cocktails. Alas, his life is believed to have ended in scandal when local residents discovered that he'd been misusing magic for private purposes, seducing women and then stealing their children to live with him in his woodland lair. When authorities finally tracked him down, it said that he'd taken possession of at least 13 purloined offspring, all of whom pandered to his nefarious needs. Although Donald closely resembled a person, none of these youngsters had done so, and then, understandably horrified, his hunters had taken action. Donald and his ill-gotten brood were apparently destroyed in a fire started among all the trees in which he'd resided. One final point. Across a range of historical material, Donald is referred to in no other way. In fact, the surname Deer is thought to be a latter-day variation, possibly added soon after the Second World War, when the alteration becomes apparent in local documents. Interviews with people living in the village at the time suggest that this was how the man always responded to requests about his identity. To wit, "What's your name?" "Donald, dear." What's perhaps more troubling, however, is how such relatively recent Pastern residents had come about this knowledge. Surely nobody during that period had encountered his spirit lurking in a lonely road running alongside that wood, had they? So, there we have it. I think, well, I hope you agree that it's all quite intriguing. Spooky old story, how it plays out, the notion that Donald Deer might still be real, he might still be alive at work. Well, it's certainly supported by the document, but believe me, the worst thing about this whole story is the account I read, written by Matthew Cole, about Claire Linton's investigations. What I found barely touches the surface. I haven't been able to find the things she found, but believe me, they are way spookier than the kind of things I've talked about here. So it's going to be available as a published account. I made every effort to get in touch with the people who were involved in the thing, and no comeback. But I just think it's too intriguing and too troubling to just sit upon. So it will be available soon. I put my own name to it, introduce the book, but really it's Matthew Cole's story about what happened when he supported a project looking into this local legend about a guy called Donald Deer, and really it's about what they found in the woods, and believe me, it's not nice. Thanks for listening. Bye.